You're moving to Florida. Some things you might need to know about the odd things that Floridians do. We're going to talk about that next. Hey everybody, my name's Craig Cunha. I am a realtor right here in Southwest Florida. And if this is your first time to the channel and you'd like to know more about what it's like to live, play, eat, sleep, and buy real estate in Southwest Florida, then you're at the right channel. So go ahead and subscribe to be sure to get all the future videos. And go ahead and leave a comment if there's something I missed that you'd like to know more about. I'm getting calls from people every day asking about what it's like to be in Florida and what their experience is going to be like when they're going to visit or possibly even move here. And I just love it. So if you have a question for me, you have to call, text, or email, and I'll be sure to get right back to you. Today, we're going to talk about some of the odd things that we do in Florida. Being residents here. Now I'm from Pennsylvania. I understand the need for a four-wheel drive vehicle or a front-wheel drive vehicle. Well, here in Florida, there are more four-wheel drive trucks, Jeeps, and other types of climbing vehicles that you would find in areas that need it. We don't have hills. This is flat terrain. There's very few areas of Florida that you would need something like that, but we have an abundance of them. Now, I will say that there are boats to be towed and trailers to be towed and things like that. So you very well could have it for that reason. Now, I drive a truck. It started because I was pulling an RV. And over the years, just got used to it. I like the feel of being higher off the road and just what that gives me. But there is such an abundance of it. And it's just one of those oddities. Floridians like to either ride high or have the big wheels. Since we're talking about vehicles and driving, whether you know it or not, as soon as you're at that light, waiting for it to turn green, as soon as it does, you just entered a race. Yes, for some reason, Floridians love to race you at everything you do, whether it's in the car, whether it's to be first in line, whether it's to get ahead of you for anything. Prime example, I go to the polls the other day to put my vote in. And this guy, I could see him out of my peripheral vision, kind of beelining to the end of this line, trying to get there as fast as he possibly could. Now, mind you, there's probably a good 50, 60, 70 people ahead of us, but he had to make sure he got there before I did. Now, since we're on the topic of driving, here in Florida, you're going to notice that there's one of two styles. That crazy fast driving or the super slow person that's all the way in the left lane, or even worse, right in the center, slowing everything down. Then you get all the other cars cutting in and out, switching lanes. We don't use turn signals here. So this causes all the craziness on the road, which leads to our high insurance rates because of the driving. Well, try not to get frustrated. Just give yourself a little more time to get places because that is what you will get on the roads here. It's either super fast or super slow. You might recognize that Florida is one of the rainiest states in our country. Yet, nobody carries an umbrella. I guess they figure, well, it's a way to cool off, or I'm already sweating through my shirt anyway, or it'll just dry off as soon as the rain stops because the sun is going to be so hot. So, the umbrellas are not something that we do here, and you shouldn't either. Visitors come to Florida for sun. They want to absorb as much sun as possible. Well, us Floridians, we get our fill throughout the year, so more times than not, we're going to be looking for shade. Whether it's that shady spot under the tree, whether it's the shade of a building, we might have sleeves on in the middle of summer with this big brim hat, and it's just because we are actually looking for the shade. We get enough sun, don't need any more. In fact, the umbrellas that we don't use for the rain, a lot of people walk around with umbrellas for the shade. Yeah, I know, kind of weird, but that's what we do. We have these super hot, humid days, okay? And when you're ready to retreat inside, it can seem ice cold. This happened the other day with my other half. She's outside, we're having a good time, got really hot, so we're gonna go inside, get some air, cool down. Well then, I find her 15 minutes later snuggled up under a blanket, reading a book. What is that? Yeah, it does feel that cold when you come in from that extreme humidity, and the air conditioning is only gonna be at maybe 75 degrees. And that may not sound very cold, but when you go from such extremes, it is very cold. So you might want to keep a blanket on the couch next to you. Now in Florida, dressing for an evening out can be very difficult at times. Because of this humidity that we have, you're generally going to dress down and try to be a little cooler, whether it's shorts, light shirt, obviously open-toed shoes, sandals. But when the rain comes and you're forced into a building, now there's ice cold AC. It's super uncomfortable. This happened to us at a place downtown Fort Myers. We didn't expect to spend any time inside, and it was so cold I was shivering. I was looking for any way to possibly warm up. So when you're planning for an evening out, just think ahead of where you're going to be, if it truly is going to be all outside or if it's going to be inside, because it could get really uncomfortable. Now, as you may know, if you've been a visitor to Florida, you're packing things like shorts, tank tops, bikinis, sandals, all beachwear, right? Well, it's not that much different for us here either. The majority of your wardrobe is going to be sandals, shorts, and light shirts. Unless it's a work thing or a function that you're going to that mandates you wearing some other type of outfit, you're going to simply be in those things. So don't worry about space in your closets the way you might up north, because you're not going to need a whole lot of space for clothing. You might need it for other things, but not for clothing. Another thing that happens is as soon as you become a Floridian, or you think you are because you moved here and you're calling this home now, you pitch all your northern wear, all the heavy things. You don't think you're ever going to use them again. Well, you will. Because when you get to the point where your blood thins out and we get to 60 degrees, you're going to be looking for a jacket. When we get to 50 degrees, you're going to be looking for your heavy jacket. When it gets to 40 degrees, you're going to be looking for gloves, hats, and things that you might have thought you'd never use again. Here in Florida, we don't wear clothes that say anything about Florida, like, hey, I love Fort Myers, Florida, or I love the Keys. But the one thing that we do wear that refers to Florida is sports teams. Now, obviously, we have some large universities here. University of Miami, University of Florida, and Florida State. So those are the big ones that we have. And if you're wearing any color that associates with it, like crimson and gold or orange and royal blue, you're automatically going to be asked if you're a gator or a knoll. And then it's going to be followed either by a little hatchet movement or the gator jump. So it is odd, it's strange, but yes, you're going to be asked about it. There's going to be some kind of affiliation formed with that. So just be prepared or become a fan. Another thing that happens here, and it might be that I just never noticed it, or I've been in Florida so long that this is all I know, but the police officers lately, so again, I've been here over 20 years, and it's just in the last couple of years I've noticed this, but the police car that you see down the road, I'm the type that kind of, gets a little nervous or a little uneasy, thinking, a ticket. I don't need that now. I can't afford to get pulled over and stuck waiting on the side of the road. Well, as you get further down the road, you realize that car's empty. Nobody's in that car. They put the police cars in the median to slow the traffic down. So you got two choices. Either be prepared for that or drive the speed limit or slightly over. If you learned anything today that might be useful for you when you're moving to Florida, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe on the channel. And if there's anything that I can help you with, any question you may have that I didn't cover, then you've got to call, text, or email, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.